Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Gaijin is actually doing something really cool for the 85th anniversary since the Battle of Britain. They're putting a lot of aircraft on discount, basically bringing back other ones as well, such as Plagis' Spitfire LF Mk IXc and the Hurricane Mk 1L FAA M. And they are giving away a camouflage and also a decal. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to go through pretty much everything that is going on and also reviewing all of the aircraft which are going on sale. So first of all, you have the Battle of Britain 85th anniversary decal. This one, all you have to do is earn 3,000 mission points in battles where you have used British aircraft at rank 3 or higher, and you'll get access to it, which is quite nice. This is from the 15th of September until the 18th of September, so you basically have 3 days in order to do it. If you get 10,000 mission score in British aircraft at rank 2 or higher, you get Douglas Bader's Spitfire P9443 camouflage for the Spitfire Mk 1A, which is really awesome. Basically, Douglas Bader joined the RAF in 1928, quickly establishing himself as a gifted pilot with a penchant for acrobatics. During one of these daring maneuvers, however, he crashed, resulting in serious injury. The damage was so severe, both legs had to be amputated. Unbroken by this, and with a pair of prosthetic legs, Bader taught himself to walk and, remarkably, how to fly again. Bader continuously requested to rejoin the RAF, but was declined on medical grounds each time, and in 1939, with the outbreak of the Second World War, the requirements of the RAF eased, and Bader was accepted back into service. Bader proved himself over Dunkirk and the Battle of Britain, flying both the Hawker Hurricane and Supermarine Spitfire. He initially flew with number 222 Squadron before becoming the commander of 242 Squadron. He would score 20 victories during his career, with 2 additional shared victories. On the 9th of August 1941, Bader was forced to bail from his aircraft over France after a mid-air collision with a German plane. One of his prosthetic legs was trapped on the pedal of his aircraft, forcing him to bail out without it. Despite this, he landed relatively safe, but was captured by German soldiers shortly after, and in a remarkable act of gallantry and airman solidarity, German command gave the RAF safe passage into the air to airdrop a replacement, an event known as Operation Leg. After the war, Bader worked for the Shell Fuel Company, flying their planes and eventually becoming the managing director of Shell Aircraft until his retirement in 1965. He wouldn't stop there, though. In the 1970s, he became a key member of the Civil Aviation Authority, focusing on issues of pilot safety. In later life, Bader dedicated himself to helping the disabled and also those who lost limbs, very much becoming a light in the dark, inspiring hope with visits and also letters. A quote from one of Bader's hospital visits immortalizes this sentiment perfectly. "Don't listen to anyone who tells you that you can't do this or that. That's nonsense. Never, never let them persuade you that things are too difficult or impossible." The camouflage that you can get is Bader's Spitfire Mk 1A, which was painted in the early temperate land scheme, one of the most recognizable RAF patterns. Composed of disruptive dark green and also dark brown, a noteworthy feature of this early scheme is the two-tone black and white underside. This pattern was used on many early RAF aircraft in order to help spotters and also anti-air gunners quickly identify friendly planes. When the theatre of war shifted to Europe, the priority changed from identification to concealment, and the underside of the majority of aircraft was changed to a pale unicolor coating to help blend into the sky. The yellow square on the wing is a gas detection patch. These would fade to a darker color in the presence of harmful chemical agents, which I think generally is actually pretty cool. So those are the 3 things that you can get. When it comes to the pack, there is a bundle, which is 50% off. You can get John Plagis' Spitfire LF Mark 9 pack, Prendergast Spitfire FR Mark 14E pack, and also the Typhoon pack, all together basically for $40. These packs don't just come with the aircraft, they also come with Golden Eagles and Premium Time, so you can get 37 days of Premium account and also 2,000 Golden Eagles along with these 3 aircraft. So what we'll do in this video is we'll also have a look at all of these different vehicles for you, since of course 2 of them are individually available for GE and the rest are in the special pack. If you want to pick up the pack, I'll put a little partner code in the description and also a pinned comment so you can pick it up. So there are 4 vehicles which are available for GE right now, and then also there is the pack. 2 of the vehicles are in the pack, Prendergast and Plagis, Spitfires. Everything else is kind of in the GE area. So what we'll do is we'll have a look at some of the GE vehicles first, and then we'll have a look at the pack vehicles. The first vehicle that is on offer temporarily for 3 days is the Hurricane Mk.IL FAA M. This one was actually available during, I believe it was the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, and you could actually grind it out. So now they're bringing it back, and you have to pay for it, which kind of sucks. This is a late version of the standard Hurricane Mk.I that you can find basically in the standard tech tree. You have the Mk.IIb trop here, and then you also have the Mk.I late, which is right there. You also have the Sea Hurricane Mk.IB and the Mk.IC and the Mk.IV. A lot of really cool hurricanes around the place. But basically, the difference between the Mk.I and the Mk.IL is this is basically an improved version which has a metal wing covering. Doesn't really change too much when it comes to War Thunder, but basically what you're getting here is a vehicle which has quite a nice engine for the BR, a lot of 7.7 millimeters. So if you get the convergence right, you can do quite a lot of damage with these, even though, you know, the actual rounds individually don't do too much. Basically, you have 2,800 of them, so you can really rat-a-tat-a-tat, and then you can just kind of have a bit of fun with it as you go around. Now, the vehicle itself is pretty limited, doesn't have any ground ordnance, just generally is just like an air superiority fighter, and also turns magnificently well. The Hurricanes, for me, are some of my favorite vehicles in the game, just because they're just really nice to fly. They just kind of float around the place, and also they're kind of one of those unforgotten heroes when it comes to the Battle of Britain itself. It comes with this cool camouflage, which you only get on this vehicle. Basically, it's a Fleet Air Arm training aircraft camo, which generally I think is actually really sick. So nice to see that too. If you're looking for kind of a unique vehicle that only comes around every 5 years, it's worth picking up. And generally, it's a vehicle that is also involved in some of the the pages of history events, so at least it'll have some bit of play. The next vehicle is the Spitfire Mk.IIa Venture 1. This is just a complete copy of the Mk.IIa that you find in the standard tech tree right here. Basically, the Mk.IIa Venture is the starter pack vehicle, which is available for Britain. It's a fantastic vehicle, and right now it's 50% off, meaning that you can get it for 575 golden eagles by itself if that's what you want to do. The Mk.IIa has a really interesting kind of way of playing, because you have this Rolls-Royce Merlin 12 engine, which gives you a lot of kind of takeoff power, but also the vehicle flies just amazingly, and it has incredibly good rate of climb on it, which just makes it so much fun to kind of play. The only problem with these early Spitfires is the engine does overheat after like 5 or 10 minutes, so you do have to kind of dial it back a little bit, so you have to be a bit careful of that. The other part as well is you don't get any secondary armaments, you only get the guns, and the guns once again are these 7.7 millimeters. Now at 3.0, these will be completely fine. It plays very similarly to a lot of the Japanese aircraft, where you have to get close to enemies and kind of stick to them and annihilate them with the guns, and that works really well. Since it has the wonderful elliptical wing, it's also great at defensive flying, so you run into a lot of vehicles that are faster than you at this BR. You can make them overshoot and then hit them with the guns, and then just have a bit of fun with that. But as a general kind of air realistic plane or air arcade plane, it just works really, really well. I just don't know its use in other game modes because of the fact it can only really play as superiority. It's not as if the 7.7's really doing any damage to any of the kind of lower vehicles. So for me personally, it's really cool to see this vehicle. And the major thing is usually available in starter packs though. And when the starter pack goes on sale with the Crusader, that's always better to pick up than the individual Spitfire Mk.IIa. Prendergasts and Plagises are both available in the kind of pack that they're doing, but also they're available individually for GE if you want to pick them up without picking up the pack. Obviously, the pack is a lot better value and generally will do you better, but if you just want a specific individual vehicle, you can do that. The individual vehicles themselves are pretty pricey. Basically, it's 6,090 Golden Eagles, which basically is the price of the whole pack itself. So if you are looking to pick these up, just do it in the pack if you're able to. If you're on console, obviously that's a different story, and that is unfortunate. So talking about Prendergast Spitfire, this is a Mark 14E. The big difference between this and the other Spitfire we just looked at is the engine. Instead of a Merlin, it has a Griffon 65, which gives it a lot more horsepower and a lot more just power to do stuff with it. It also is a clipped wing, which means that it has different kind of properties and the weapons. This one has the 220mm Spano Mark IIs and also the 250 cals, which both work together incredibly well. Since it's at 5.7, it's kind of in that area of the early Spitfire Griffons. So you have the Spitfire F Mark 14E, and then also you have the Mark 18, which are both here. These are fantastic to play and basically very, very similar to what Prendergast has. Basically, Prendergast is just a clipped wing version of the standard Mark 14 that you find in the actual tech tree. But all of them are fantastically good. The other thing is these do actually get a bomb as well, so you can at least use a little bit of it in standard matches, in ground, use the bomb and then use this as an superiority fighter. It actually works fantastically well. It's really, really good. In general. The other part is, of course, in Air Arcade, with this ridiculous kind of Spitfire lineup, you can do some absolute damage. And in Air Realistic, these things also fly fantastically well at these BRs. The early Griffon Spits have always been fantastic, and the late Griffon Spits are also fantastic. But the problem is the late ones keep going up in BR, whereas these ones kind of stay the same, so they're just a little bit more fun. Plagis' Spitfire LF Mark 9C is also on sale, and what this is, guess what? It's just a standard kind of LF Mark 9 with kind of an interesting setup to it. So first of all, this one uses the Merlin engine, so that is the big difference between it and, once again, the vehicle we just looked at. It has the two Hispano Mark IIs, and then also it keeps the 4 7.7mm Brownings. A lot of vehicles of this BR swap to like the 50 cals and all of that, but the LF series, you can see here with this standard Mark 9, they actually swapped it with the 50 cals. So there you have the 50 cals and then the 20s, but with the LF Premium, it is different. So instead, you actually keep the 7.7s. That's the big difference between the two vehicles. So you either, use the 7.7s, you get a little bit more kind of ammo with it, you can annoy people a little bit more, but you don't hit as hard, which of course is a bit of the problem. So the LF Mark 9, it's a vehicle which has an insane climb rate across the board. It also kind of fixes the issues we talked about with like the Mark II series, where the overheating isn't too much of an issue because it's using the Merlin 66, a fantastic engine. And then also it does get access to a 500-pound bomb as well, so you can use it as a CAS element if you really want to. But this is another vehicle which is very much designed to be able to be used in either Air Arcade or Air Realistic, or even just Air Sim, because it's just super easy to fly. And the only problem this one has is it isn't as fast as a lot of the other vehicles that it'll actually go up against. And that's kind of the crux of these kind of late Merlin engine ones. If you compare this to Prendergast, for example, Prendergast is way faster in terms of the Plagis, and also the LF Mark 9C has a bit of an issue when it comes to diving. It can't dive as hard as a lot of other vehicles, so they can just kind of get away from you. So you become this kind of defensive turn fighter, which works well for it. It's really, really good, but just understand you're limited in that standard role. It'll be interesting as well if they ever bring back this camo for it. This was one of the RAAF camos for Clive Caldwell, but you also have the standard camo, which also looks really, really nice too. So who knows? maybe we'll see something different with this vehicle going forward. A lot of the Spitfires have a ridiculous amount of camos that you can kind of grind out and see, and that's actually really cool. I'm glad that they do that. The oddball out of this pack is actually the Typhoon Mk IB. This one is in the Battle of Britain 85 years bundle, and it's one which offers something slightly different. So basically, the difference between this and many of the other Spitfires, all the Spitfires and the Hurricanes are kind of air superiority aircraft. The Mk IB can also be an air superiority aircraft, but it's also very useful in ground. And the reason for that is because of the 20mm Spanos and also its ability to carry 1,000 pounders. So you can have a very good bomb drop, and then you can finish it off with the ground target belts for the 20mm that pen quite a lot at the BR, meaning that you can go through the top of a lot of vehicles' armor and you can do a ton of damage. The other part is as well, is the Typhoon, as I said, isn't as good in air battles because it locks up hard at high speeds. So if you can keep it at the mid speeds when it comes to ground battles, you can have a fantastic time with it, which works really, really well. Now, what's the difference between the Mk IB and the Mk IB Late? Well, it's the engine. The Mk IB Late has the Napier Sabre 2 with 2,197 horsepower. Mk IB Late has the Napier Sabre 2A, which has 1,995 horsepower. So basically, the difference between these two is the Mk IB is worse than the Mk IB Late, but they're at the same BR. Functionally, they basically work the same though, and you are paying for like the premium privilege basically. So just like how a lot of the other Spitfires are very similar to the ones in the tech tree, this one is no different when comparing to the Typhoon. So if you want a premium version of the standard Typhoon, this is definitely worth it, especially if you're going to use it in ground alongside the really nice lineup that they have there at kind of the 4-7 area. You have the Firefly, you have the Avenger, you have all of the AAs, the Concept 3, which is really fun, the Churchill Crocodile, the Trizniak, all of these wonderful things that you can run with the Typhoon. So overall, I would say this is actually a really nice pickup, and the pack itself is well worth it at only $40 for 3 very, very good planes. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.